Okay, let's get into this deep dive. Imagine this. A seemingly ordinary family just vanishes right from their home in Adachi Ward, Tokyo. This was just back in January 2024.
Yeah, Adachi Ward.
Yeah.
It's known, isn't it? More of a, well, regular residential spot in Tokyo?
Yeah,
Affordable.
exactly. A mix of houses, little shops, some universities nearby. And right there in Senju Midori-cho, that's where the Takahashi family lived. Three-story place.
We're talking about Takahashi Tokuhiro. He was 55, owned a bar.
Right. And Takahashi Nishi, 52, a homemaker.
And their son lived with them too, Takahashi Ichiro, 31, regular company employee.
So picture this. Ichiro, the son, comes home from work, January 16th. Just a normal Tuesday, you'd think.
Mm-hmm. Expecting everything to be normal.
Uh-huh.
But what he found was, well, anything but.
Yeah, straight out of a nightmare. First thing he notices, his dad's car wasn't washed. They planned it for that day. Small detail, but...
Off. Already a little flag going up.
Then he goes inside, and the house is just dark, silent, super eerie. No lights, no TV, nothing.
Which would be unusual, right? People home, you expect some noise, some life.
Totally. And then he sees it. Bloodstains in the entryway.
Oh, wow.
Not just a little, more in the bathroom, even down the hallway. He tries calling his parents, tries his sister who lives somewhere else.
Right.
Nothing. Phone's dead, apparently. He calls his dad's bar. Nope, haven't seen either of them. Sister doesn't know anything either.
So he's completely in the dark finding this scene. Terrifying.
Understandably, by 8:50 p.m., he's calling the police,
Right.
reporting them missing, thinking maybe kidnapping.
Which is a logical first fear, given the blood. But then the police arrive, and the picture gets stranger.
How so?
Well, no forced entry, doors locked, windows intact, nothing looked broken into.
So they weren't dragged out.
Doesn't look like it. And it wasn't a robbery either. Valuables, money, jewelry, all still there, untouched.
Huh. But the parents' phones were missing.
Right. That's significant. Phone's gone, but valuables remain. And the blood. Lab tests confirmed it belonged to the parents.
A lot of blood from what you said.
Enough to suggest a very violent struggle. But here's the kicker. They also found DNA at the scene that didn't match the parents or the son.
An unknown person's DNA?
Exactly, an unknown male. So the initial police theory was grim, like maybe an ambush right there in the entryway. Survival chances looked low.
Okay, so if it wasn't a kidnapping for ransom, because no demands came.
Right, that theory started to fade pretty quickly. No calls, valuables still there. It just didn't add up.
So the police had to rethink, where do they look next?
Surveillance footage. Standard procedure, especially in a dense area like that. Cameras are everywhere. They started pulling footage from all around the Takahashi house.
And did that show anything?
Oh, yeah. It became crucial. They pieced together the parents' movements on the 16th, that afternoon.
Okay, what did they see?
Tokuhiro, the husband, leaves around 1 p.m. Then Nishi, the wife, leaves a little bit after him.
Separately, okay.
Then Tokuhiro comes back. And later, around 4:30 p.m., Ishi comes home too.
4:03 DMM, and that's the last time they were seen on camera.
That's the last time. And neighbors confirmed it too. Nobody saw them leave the house after that time.
So they disappeared inside their own house after 4:30 p.m.
It seems that way. Just vanished from view, right there at home. Incredibly unsettling.
Let's talk a bit about them. Takahashi Tokuhiro, the father, ran a bar, you said.
Yeah, near Kitasenju Station. The area is known for having a few, let's call them gray market spots. Bars maybe operating a little loosely.
But his place had been around a while.
Over 20 years. Good reputation, apparently. Mostly middle-aged guys as customers.
And he had just bought this house with his son.
Well, took out a joint mortgage, yeah, about 2 years before. There were rumors, that maybe the son was the owner on paper, but the dad was carrying most of the loan.
Interesting. So nighttime work hours mostly, running the bar. Any hobbies?
Cars. He was apparently really into cars. He even bought his son one, I read.
Okay. And the wife, Nishi.
Neighbors described her as looking quite young for her age, 52. But more reserved, quietly polite.
Did people think they had a good relationship despite his line of work?
Generally, yeah. Seemed okay. And crucially, no obvious enemies connected to the bar business. Nothing that jumped out as a motive for this.
Which I guess brings the focus back, at least initially, to the son, Ichiro.
It's often the way, isn't it? Family members are looked at first. And there were whispers, rumors about money issues between him and his parents.
Like arguments over finances?
Something like that. The terrible theory was maybe he'd argued with his dad, it got violent, and maybe his mom saw something.
God, that's dark. But did that hold up?
Not really. Ichiro strongly denied it. Said he had a good relationship with him, and that joint mortgage, suggests planning a future together, not that.
Plus, he was the one who called the police.
Exactly. And the biggest thing,
Mm-hmm.
his alibi. His work colleagues confirmed it. He was at his job all day. No question.
Okay, so Ichiro's cleared. The police are back to square one almost, but they have that surveillance footage.
And they kept digging into it meticulously. And that's when they found something else, something really suspicious.
What was it?
Earlier that day, not long after Ichiro left for work in the morning, a couple shows up on camera near the house, masked, a man and a woman.
Masked. Acting suspiciously how?
Just hanging a real looking out of place, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're seen leaving later that afternoon. And here's the key part. The man is seen throwing a package into a nearby public trash can.
Throwing something away. And you said masked. Did they get a description?
The masks obscured faces, obviously, but the man's build and features, what little was visible, suggested he wasn't Japanese, maybe Southeast Asian.
Okay, wow. So the package in the trash can, did they find it?
They did. Police recovered it. And inside, bloody clothing.
Bloody clothing, let me guess.
Lab tests confirmed it. The blood matched Tokuhiro and Nishi Takahashi.
So the clothes were used to clean up the scene.
That became the strong suspicion, yeah. Used to wipe up the blood in the entryway where Ichiro first found it.
This just gets more horrifying. So now the theory is the couple are likely dead and hidden nearby.
That's what the police thought. They started searching the immediate area around the house, the property.
But didn't find anything initially.
No, nothing at first. Days were passing. It's the third day of the investigation.
Okay.
And an officer notices something. A smell.
Yeah.
A distinct, unpleasant odor inside the house, coming from the first floor hallway.
A smell. Oh, no.
They followed it. Led them to this little utility space, had a sink in it, and that's where they found it.
Found what?
A hidden spot. Under the floorboards. A concealed storage space.
Under the floor and inside.
2 large blue plastic bags.
Yeah.
And inside those bags, the bodies. Tokuhiro and Nishi Takahashi.
Oh my God. Hidden under their own floor.
Both had multiple stab wounds. Police reports mentioned their facial expressions were grim, horrified.
And Ichiro. He had to identify them.
Yes. Imagine that. Identifying your own parents under those circumstances. Truly horrific.
The forensic reports must have been brutal.
They were. Tokuhiro, the father, over 12 stab wounds.
Over 12.
Yes. And Nishi, the mother, had 8. Cause of death for both. Blood loss. Exsanguination.
And the timing. When did they think it happened?
Estimated time of death lined up with January 16th, the day they vanished from the cameras. About 2 days before they were found.
So everything points back to that day, that couple, and the DNA.
That was the breakthrough. Remember the unknown male DNA from the bloodstains? And the DNA from the blood on the discarded clothes?
They matched.
A perfect match.
Yeah.
Linking that discarded clothing directly to the initial crime scene and an unknown male suspect.
Okay, so they have the male DNA. What about the woman in the footage?
Police showed the surveillance footage to Ichiro again, now knowing what they were looking for.
And he recognized her.
He did. He identified the masked woman as his ex-girlfriend, a woman named Morales, Filipina, but fluent in Japanese.
His ex-girlfriend. Wow, that changes everything.
Absolutely. And then Ichiro remembered something else, something that seemed weird at the time, but now chilling.
What was it?
A phone call from Morales. On the day of the murders, around noon.
She called him. They weren't together anymore, right?
No, they'd broken up, hadn't been in touch much. But she calls him at work, says she still loves him, wants to get back together.
What did he say?
He was busy, working. He basically dismissed it, said, it's over between us romantically, but we can be friends. And she just hung up.
Huh. And he tried to call her back later?
Yeah, later that afternoon, he called her and sent a text. No answer. No reply.
That call, noon on the day of the murders, it feels significant somehow.
It really does. Maybe a last hesitation, or just part of a facade. An investigator certainly thought so. They started digging into the relationship between Ichiro and Morales.
What did they find?
They'd met about 3 years before. Ichiro had been helping her financially, giving her money.
Okay, a financial element.
Yes. And his parents, especially the mother, Nishi, apparently really disapproved of the relationship. They didn't want them to get married.
Right.
A big reason was money. Morales already owed Ichiro a significant amount, something like 600,000 yen.
Wow, okay. That's not insignificant.
Right. And Nishi, the mother, was very firm about it. Demanded Morales pay the money back and end things with her son.
And Ichiro went along with his parents.
It seemed so. He broke up with her. But reports suggest Morales didn't take it well, didn't accept it, and certainly wasn't paying back the money.
Okay, so now you have a potential motive. Resentment. Revenge.
That became the leading theory. Revenge against the parents for breaking them up, for blocking what she might have seen as financial security, and her location.
Where did she live?
Her apartment was only 450 meters away from the Takahashi house. A very short walk.
So close. And what did she do after the murders?
She moved out. Suddenly. Just packed up and left her apartment right after the 16th.
That looks suspicious. Did she have an alibi?
None that held up.
Yeah.
And then a friend came forward. Said they saw Morales at a convenience store on January 17th, the day after. The friend said Morales was looking for bandages and seemed really distressed, agitated.
Yeah, bandages. Connecting maybe to a struggle. Okay, so where did they find her?
They tracked her down pretty quickly. To a hotel, but way out in Fukuoka Prefecture, miles from Tokyo.
And arrested her there.
Yes, on January 19th. But she denied everything. Claimed she was just having a friend look for an apartment.
Right. But the police likely didn't believe she acted alone, given the violence.
Exactly. The sheer number of stab wounds, the struggle involved, it suggested two attackers. Their focus immediately went to the masked man in the video.
The one whose DNA matched the scene in the clothes.
Precisely. And they managed to ID him, too.
How?
More surveillance footage. This time from a convenience store, but in Tsukura City, which is a bit of a distance away.
What did it show?
It showed the man, Della, also Filipino, buying beer on the evening of the murders, wearing a hat, a mask, and a bandage on his right hand.
The bandage again.
Yeah.
Linking him potentially to the struggle and Morales looking for bandages.
It all started to fit. So they arrest Della, and unlike Morales, he talks.
He confessed?
He confessed to being involved, yes. Said he'd known Morales since they were kids back in the Philippines.
Okay, so a long connection.
Yeah. He'd come to Japan the previous July as a technical trainee, worked in construction, lived out in Sakura. Didn't seem to know many people besides Morales and a few other Filipinos.
And his story was?
He claimed he was just helping Morales, an accomplice. Said he didn't even know the Takahashi family personally, that it was all her plan.
But Morales was still denying everything.
Still silent, yeah. Even with Della's confession and all the evidence piling up.
So, based on everything, the footage, the confession, the timeline, what's the investigators' reconstruction of that day?
Okay, so the belief is Morales had likely been watching the family for some time, figured out their routines, maybe even got the door code somehow.
Could be.
She contacts Della, lays out the plan. They get knives, those plastic bags. Then, after Ichiro leaves for work on the 16th, they get into the house somehow and wait.
Lying in wait. Chilling.
Then comes that midday call from Morales to Ichiro. Maybe her last wobble. Or just trying to seem normal before the awful part.
Hard to know.
Then Tokahiro comes home around 1 p.m. They ambush him. A struggle ensues that's likely when Deleri injures his hand.
Then they wait again until the mother comes home.
Seems like it.
Mm-hmm.
Nishi gets back around 4:30 p.m. and they attack her too, brutally.
And right after that, Ichiro tries to call Morales around 5 p.m.
Yeah, investigators think Morales didn't answer because she and Della were busy.
Yeah.
Busy hiding the bodies in those bags under the floorboards in that utility space.
While he's calling her. Unbelievable.
Then they turn off the parents' phones. Where those phones ended up, nobody knows. Still missing.
And Morales finally texts Ichiro back.
Around 5:30 p.m. with that really disturbing message.
Yeah.
It's over now.
It's over now. What did police think that meant?
Likely referring to the relationship, but with a horrific double meaning of the crime being completed. After that, they changed clothes, tried to clean up, dumped the bloody stuff in the trash, and left.
One thing I still wonder. Why wait until the afternoon? Why not attack earlier when maybe only one parent was home?
That's a good question. Police speculated maybe Morales hesitated. Or maybe they were worried about noise during the day, neighbors hearing something. Hard to say for sure.
So after the crime, Morales heads off to that hotel to hide.
Right, tries to lay low. Della, meanwhile, goes back to his place in Tsukura, even gets his injured hand treated there later, probably thought he wasn't a suspect.
But buying beer with a bandaged hand on camera? Not the smartest move.
Definitely not. That was a key link that helped catch him.
This Morales, her background seems important to understanding the motive. Can we unpack that a bit?
Yeah, it's quite a story. She came to Japan from the Philippines back in 2017, age 23. Started working as a hostess in Roppongi.
Which was common then.
Relatively, yeah.
Yeah.
But immigration rules around entertainment visas got tighter, so many women ended up in, well, sham marriages, just to stay long-term.
Hey, she did that.
Yes, she married the son of the owner of the bar where she worked. Seems it was more like a business deal.
Okay.
And while working there, she got involved with this wealthy, regular customer, Kamisaka.
Kamisaka, I remember that name. Didn't he get into trouble?
Big trouble. He apparently spent a fortune on her, like close to 100 million yen. But then he was arrested and convicted for massive fraud, a big land swindle case.
Wow. And that affected her bar.
Yeah, the scandal brought a lot of heat, investigations into the sham marriages, even possible links to the Luffy crime group. The bar eventually closed down
So her situation changed drastically.
completely. Around the same time, she got pregnant. Her nominal husband denied being the father. They divorced. She went back to the Philippines with her child for a bit.
But she came back to Japan.
Yes. Ended up working in Filipino bars in Takanatsuk. That's an Adachi ward, kind of a little Manila area. Her financial situation really declined.
From having millions spent on her, too.
We're working in local bars, and eventually she got a job as a nursing assistant. A huge drop in lifestyle and income.
Okay, so that context, it sheds light on her relationship with Ichiro, doesn't it?
Absolutely. They met in 2021. His generosity, his financial support must have felt like a lifeline, a return to some kind of stability she'd lost,
And when his parents blocked the marriage,
and demanded she repay the money.
and Ichiro sided with them and broke it off.
You can see how, in her mind, it might have felt like her last chance for that better life was being snatched away by them.
Leading to this deep resentment.
Precisely. That resentment, combined with maybe desperation and a desire for revenge, seems to be the most plausible motive. A toxic combination that led her to involve Della.
And who actually did the stabbing? Do we know?
They've apparently given conflicting stories about who struck the fatal blows, but based on the evidence, the number of wounds, Della's injury, it seems likely he was the primary physical attacker.
With Morales assisting, planning?
That's the picture investigators painted. A joint enterprise, fueled by her motive. It was shocking for people who knew her, apparently. She seemed so normal on the surface.
And now, where does the case stand?
As of early 2024, both Morales and Della were facing murder charges. The legal process is ongoing.
It's just such a shocking crime. A family killed in their own home, hidden under the floor. It's the stuff of nightmares.
It really is. And it exposes such a tangled mess of relationships, money problems, failed romance, family pressure, and ultimately violent revenge.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? About the hidden things, the resentments people carry, what drives someone to such desperate, terrible acts when they feel trapped or wronged.
How ordinary lives can intersect with such brutality. The unseen pressures, the breaking points. It's deeply disturbing to contemplate what might be going on beneath the surface.